Hello students, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
My screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll start within 1 minute. Will not wait. Okay. Good morning, one and all. So in the last lecture, we discussed about the fourth chapter. I was talking about the last point, but unfortunately, due to network issue, I left the meeting and I stopped over there only. So in the last lecture, I was talking about the last point, classical problems of synchronization. And I said that in classical problems of synchronization, normally synchronization is applied in three cases, three general problems. First one is the producer consumer problem, second one is the reader writer problem, and third one is the dining philosopher problem. So first one, bounded buffer problem, that is it is also called as a producer consumer problem. So both producer as well as consumer processes, they are using common buffer. So the size of buffer is fixed one, that's why it is called as a bounded buffer. So same buffer is shared by producer as well as consumer. So there may be one producer, there may be one consumer, or there may be more than one producers, there may be more than one consumers. So like that, this is the where we need to apply the concept of synchronization. This is the first problem. Second problem, I talked in the last lecture about reader writer problem. So in case of reader writer, so we can allow more than one readers to read the file at a time, but we can't allow both readers as well as writers to do their operations on the file at a time. So we can allow more than one readers at a time to read the file, but we can't allow reader as well as writers to perform operations of reading and writing on the same file at the same time. So over there, when a writer is writing, so we need to stop a reader. In the sense, when writer is in its critical section, so readers, they should not enter in their critical section, or any other writer, they should not enter in their critical section. But if one reader is inside the critical section, so other reader is also able to enter in its critical section, because in case of reading, so file is treated as a shareable one. File is shareable one in case of reading, but in case of reading as well as writing, so it's not shareable. So we need to share one after the another. So at a time we need to allocate that file to only one process. So that is about reader writer problem. And the last problem is a dining philosopher problem. It's a very interesting problem, dining philosopher. So normally philosophers, they are having the tendency to think. Philosopher, mostly scientist. So it is their exact work. So their exact work is either think to search new ideas or eat. So actually two major operations done by the philosophers are considered in this problem. One is thinking and another is eating. Okay, so what they are doing? So they are thinking for some amount of time, and maybe for some amount of time they will eat. And problem is specified in such a manner that, so they assume that five philosophers are there. Five philosophers are there. They are sitting on one table. So one big table is there, round table is there. One round table is there, and all these five philosophers are sitting beside that table. Okay, so one round table is there, and all these five philosophers, they are sitting beside the table. And further it is said that one bowl is there in which rice is there, fried rice is there, and it is kept at middle of the, or at the center of the table. And further five chopsticks are there. So chopsticks, in earlier days, the chopsticks are working like our spoons. Okay, so we are eating rice with the help of spoon. So like that, like a spoon, so five chopsticks are there. Listen carefully to understand the problem. Five philosophers are there and five chopsticks are there, and a round table is there, and on that round table at the center, bowl of rice is there. Bowl of rice is there, and all these five philosophers, they are performing two operations. Either they will think or they will eat. While they are thinking, so condition is they will think by their own with the help of their mind. And with respect to eating, if they want to eat rice, they require minimum two chopsticks. I'm talking about chopsticks. Chopsticks are nothing but the spoons. And how many chopsticks are there? Five chopsticks are there, and five philosophers are there. So five philosophers are sitting beside the table, and in between two philosophers, one chopstick is kept. असं अजून करा की गोल टेबल आहे आणि त्या टेबलच्या बाजूला म्हणजे गोल अशा राऊंड शेप मध्ये ते पाच जण बसलेले आहेत, आणि ते पाच चॉपस्टिक जे आहेत ते कुठे ठेवलेले आहेत? दोघांच्या मध्ये एक चॉपस्टिक आहे. असं प्रत्येक दोघांच्या मध्ये एक चॉपस्टिक आहे. ओके, सो इफ आय एम अ फिलॉसॉफर and if I want to perform the operation of eating, so what I need to do, supposed to do, so I need to take two chopsticks. I need to acquire two chopsticks, and then only I am able to eat. This is the condition. म्हणजे मला जर ईटिंग करायचं असेल तर कंपल्सरीली माझ्याकडे दोन चॉपस्टिक्स असायला पाहिजे, ते दोन कुठे असणार आहेत, एक माझ्या उजव्या बाजूला असणार आहे, एक माझ्या डाव्या बाजूला असणार आहे. So I am one philosopher. Beside me, one more philosopher is there. In between that philosopher, at right hand side and me, one chopstick is there. And at left hand side, another philosopher is there. And in between that another philosopher who is sitting at left hand side. So one more chopstick is there. So like that, between two philosophers, one chopstick is kept. And how many chopsticks are there? 5. Okay, rice plate, only one plate is there, which is common, kept inside the at the center of the table. So if any philosopher want to perform eating, so two operations they are performing. If philosopher want to perform eating, so philosopher have to acquire 2 chopsticks. Philosopher have to acquire 2 chopsticks, then only that philosopher is able to eat the rice. So rice plate is common. Okay, and if they don't want to eat, if they don't want to perform eating, so by default they need to think. दोनच ऑपरेशन करत असतात फिलॉसॉफर्स, एक तर थिंक करायचं, नवीन इन्व्हेन्शन सुचवण्यासाठी थिंकिंग करायचं, आणि दुसरं अदरवाइज इटिंग. Okay, so if they eat properly, then only they are able to think properly. So like that, either they will think or either they will eat. So now my question to you, so how many philosophers will do the process of thinking and how many philosophers will do the process of eating? If you understood the problem, so hope everybody is listening to me. So can anybody? Yes, students, am I audible? Hello? Hello students, am I audible? Are you listening to me? Come on, you are not responding. Only Rutuja
Yes,
responded me. I asked one question to you, so I explained the problem. So what is the problem? It's the dining philosopher problem. So dining in the sense they are sitting on the dining table, not on the beside the dining table. So how many philosophers are there? 5 philosophers are there. So one common rice plate is there, which is kept at center of the table. A round shaped table is there, and all these 5 are sitting with the help of 5 chairs. Assume that 5 chairs are kept beside the table. So all these 5 philosophers, they sit on 5 chairs, and now they have to utilize chopsticks. And how many chopsticks are there? 5. So what is my chopstick? Chopstick is looking like a spoon, काट्याचा चमचा. So 5 chopsticks are there, and each chopstick is kept in between 2 philosophers. So like that, as 5 philosophers are there, so 5 chopsticks are there. Okay, so 5 philosophers are treated as a 5 processes, and these 5 chopsticks are treated as a resources. And again, that common bowl is there, common plate is there, rice plate is there, so it is accessible by each and every person. It is kept in a such a manner that it will be accessible by each and everybody. Okay, so now I said that what is the condition? If they want to think, they don't require any resource, so they can take the help of their mind and they can perform the operation of thinking. So 2 operations are there, one is thinking, another is eating. And if they want to eat, so what is required? So what is the basic requirement for eating? So they should have 2 chopsticks. They should have 2 chopsticks. दोन्ही हातामध्ये 2 चमचे असायलाच पाहिजे त्यांच्याकडे, अदरवाइज ते खाऊ शकत नाहीत. सो खाण्यासाठी कंडिशन काय? सो दे शुड हॅव 2 chopsticks. So they should acquire 2 chopsticks from the table. So how they are able to achieve? So if one requires these 2 chopsticks, so 2 philosophers who are sitting beside that one, for example, I am a first philosopher, so beside me at right hand side another philosopher is there, at left hand side another philosopher is there. So these both are unable to eat because I have acquired the chopstick. So my question is that as 5 chopsticks are there, so 2 operations are there, eating and thinking. So how many philosophers will perform eating and how many will perform thinking? Come on. Anybody? Are you listening to me? Good. 2 eating, 3 thinking. Good. 2 eating, 3 thinking. Good. Almost 2-3 students they replied. So maximum 2 philosophers will be able to eat because 5 chopsticks are there. Out of 5, 4 will be acquired by 2, and maybe 5th chopstick is acquired by one of the philosopher, but that one of the philosopher is unable to complete it's a task of eating. His task of eating because he is not having another chopstick in his hand. So like that, if we name the philosophers as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I said that all are sitting in round shape on the table. So if I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if one is eating, so 2 will not be eating and 5 will not be eating, right? So if 1 is eating, so 1, 2. 2 is unable to eat. 3 may be able to eat because so beside 1, 1 and 2 and 5 are there. So 2 and 5 they have to compulsorily think. 2 and 5 they have to compulsorily think, and again after 2, 3 is there. So you may say that if 3 acquires both the chopsticks, so again 4 is unable to eat. So 4 may be having one chopstick. So like that, so compulsorily 2, 4, 5, so they should think, and 1 and 3 should eat. So it depends upon your requirement or who is able to get the chopsticks. So I told one answer. जर मी 5 फिलॉसॉफर घेतले आणि त्यांना 5 नंबर दिले 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, माझ्या अझम्पशन नुसार मी म्हटलं की 1 नंबरचा फिलॉसॉफर ईटिंग करतोय, 1 नंबरचा ईटिंग करत असेल तर 3 नंबरचा पण ईटिंग करेल आणि उरलेले 2 नंबर आणि 4 नंबर आणि 5 नंबर हे कंपल्सरीली थिंक करतील. So can you tell some other answers? In my answer, in the first answer, I assume that 1 is eating. So like that, you may assume, you may tell me another answer. Come on, different answers may be there. Actually, 2 philosophers will be in eating operation and 3 will be in thinking operation. But which 2 will be in eating and which 3 will be in thinking? That depends upon the solution. 1 and 4 eating. Okay, 1 and 4. So remaining, good. 2, 3 and 5 they will be thinking. Good, very nice. Another alternative, I said that 1 and 3 eating and 2, 4, 5 thinking. So this is another alternative. Any another solution? You may assume 2 eating. So if 2 is eating, 3 is unable to eat, 1 is unable to eat. So like that, you may say 2 and 4 they may be eating and remaining they will be thinking. So like that, n number of solutions we are able to give with the help of synchronization. So this is the third problem. I hope you are understanding. Yes, students. Shresh Patil, you understood? Yes, Shresh. Hello, are you listening, Shresh?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So like that, it depends upon your assumption or it depends upon your condition. So how to share these 5 chopsticks, 5 resources within 5 processes. So further again some alternative solutions are again given. If the philosopher want to eat, they have to acquire first of all right chopstick, and then they have to acquire the left chopstick. Some other conditions are also applied. जर एखाद्या फिलॉसॉफरला खायची ऑपरेशन सुरुवात करायचं असेल तर पहिल्यांदा त्यांनी कुठली चॉपस्टिक उचलायला पाहिजे? The chopstick which is at right hand side. The chopstick which is at right hand side. Okay, so they will pick up the right hand side chopstick, and after that operation they will try to pick up the left hand side chopstick. So whoever is able to get the left hand side chopstick, they only are able to perform the eating. Otherwise they have to release the first chopstick also, right? अशा जर कंडिशन अप्लाय केल्या तर ज्या फिलॉसॉफरला पहिली चॉपस्टिक त्यांनी अक्वायर केलेली आहे, त्यांच्याकडे पहिली चॉपस्टिक आहे, आणि जर त्यांना दुसरी चॉपस्टिक पण फ्री असेल, मिळाली असेल, त्यांना अक्वायर करता आली, तरच ते ईटिंग सुरू करू शकतात. अदरवाइज व्हॉट दे नीड टू डू, दे नीड टू रिलीज ऑल द चॉपस्टिक. दे शुड नॉट होल्ड द चॉपस्टिक. जे काही चॉपस्टिक रिसोर्सेस आहेत, सो त्यांनी होल्ड करून नाही ठेवायचे ते रिसोर्सेस. दे शुड रिलीज इफ दे आर नॉट गेटिंग required chopsticks. So what is the requirement? Minimum 2 chopsticks. So if they are getting minimum two chopsticks, then only they can start the eating. Otherwise they need to release all the resources, and by default they need to think. So this is about the third problem of classical problem, where we need to apply the synchronization. Okay, so these are the points which I was discussing in the last lecture. So with this we have completed the fourth chapter, which was somewhat a big chapter in the first section. So under interfaces synchronization we discussed about background. So why there is need of interfaces synchronization, what do you mean by interfaces synchronization, what is the difference between interfaces communication and synchronization. Then we discussed we discussed the concept of cooperating processes. We discussed the best example of producer consumer problem using bounded buffer. Then we discussed about critical section concept. Then we discussed about critical section problem, and to that problem we provided n number of solutions with the help of Peterson's algorithms, that is 2 process solutions. So 3 software solutions we provided. So again, software solutions, they are having some limitations. That's why we went to the hardware solutions, and under hardware solutions we discussed about synchronization hardware. And under synchronization hardware we discussed 2 solutions with the help of 2 instructions. One is the test and set instruction, another is the swap instruction. Then again, hardware as well as software solutions, they are also having few limitations, and that's why we went to the higher level constructs or tools, synchronization tools like semaphore and monitors. And again, within that, then semaphore monitors are treated as a best solution, because monitors, they are taking the help of concept of class, that is object oriented concept they are using, and that's why it is said that a monitor, it is the best solution for the synchronization. And then we discussed the last point, that is classical problems of synchronization. And under classical problems of synchronization we discussed 3 problems. So to these 3 problems we need to provide the solution. So these are the 3 general problems. So if you consider any problem, any example from our real life, so it belongs to either problem. So either it belongs to producer consumer problem, either it belongs to reader writer problem, or either it belongs to dining philosopher problem. So these are the 3 general problems which are discussed as a part of classical problems of synchronization. So before going ahead, so I want to ask to you people, if you are having any doubt with respect to this 4th chapter, you can raise the doubt. Otherwise we'll proceed further. Come on. Yes, the strength of student is very less. Combining both classes, only 60 students are there. Rutuja Gaikwad is there? Rutuja?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So actually same link which you are using every day, so same link we are using for our lectures for your whole class TY. only one link is there, and probably we are using only same link. Okay, so you may circulate the message to your friends, those who are right now absent. So I want to start the new section, new chapter, which is most important chapter. So they may miss if they are not attending the lectures. So you may convey the message to your friends, those who are absent right now. If you are having doubts about fourth chapter, we'll clear right now, provided that you should ask. Otherwise, we'll proceed further. Anybody having any doubt about fourth chapter? So almost I think we have conducted 6 to 7 lectures with respect to this fourth chapter. If anybody is not having any doubt, we'll assume you got the clear idea about the fourth chapter. We'll proceed further. So we'll start the second section. Just a minute. We'll start the second section, and in the second section, we'll start the fifth chapter. Actually, in the second section, also 4 chapters are there. So fifth chapter is the deadlock. So we'll discuss about this chapter now. So just note down as a part of our Pandharpur pattern. Write down the name of the chapter in your notebook. Write down the syllabus which we are going to discuss as a part of this deadlock chapter. So under deadlocks, we are discussing about system model. Then we are discussing about deadlock characterization. So how the deadlock is characterized, what are the properties of deadlock, how it is characterized, how it is described. Then we'll go for methods for handling deadlocks. And under that methods, we are discussing about 4 methods: deadlock prevention, deadlock avoidance, deadlock detection, and recovery from deadlock. And at last, we are discussing about combined approach to deadlock. So somewhere we need to apply deadlock prevention. Some of the situations are there we need to apply deadlock avoidance. Some other situations are there where deadlock has already occurred. So we need to apply deadlock detection. And after detection, we need to apply recovery from deadlock. So like that, either approach will be applicable or all the approaches are required to apply. So it depends upon the situation. So in that case, combined approach we are taking into consideration. So write down chapter number 5, name of the chapter deadlock. Under that, the points are system model, deadlock characterization, methods for handling deadlocks, deadlock prevention, deadlock avoidance, deadlock detection, recovery from deadlock, combined approach to deadlock. Okay. So hope you have noted it down. Okay. So as a part of this deadlock chapter, so outline of the deadlock chapter, system model, deadlock characterization, methods for handling deadlocks, deadlock prevention. Actually, under the third point, we are discussing about these methods, 4 methods: deadlock prevention, deadlock avoidance, deadlock detection, and recovery from deadlock. And then last, combined approach to deadlock handling. So actually, the concept of deadlock, it is the most important concept with respect to the operating system. So if you consider any operating system, so they may face the problem of deadlock. So this is actually the problem with respect to operating system. So the best example, which I already repeated in our previous lectures. So most of all the times we are saying that my machine get hanged. बऱ्याच वेळेला आपण म्हणतो बोलताना बोलतो की माझा मोबाईल हँग झालाय किंवा माझा लॅपटॉप हँग झालाय, माझा कॉम्प्युटर हँग झालाय. And this is nothing but the example or best example to understand the concept of deadlock. So what is going on? So processes, they are going in infinite waiting state. Processes, they are going in infinite waiting state. They are not responding at all, and this condition is called as this state is called as a deadlock state. Okay, and it is most important in case of our operating system. So in case of operating system only, as operating system allows users to implement the concept of multi-programming, multitasking, multiprocessing. So there is the problem of deadlock. So how to prevent deadlock? So we are able to prevent also. So prevention, that is before occurrence of the deadlock state. So we are able to prevent it. Again, deadlock avoidance is that. So actually, if you think about the words prevention and avoidance, so actually both words are looking like same. So meaning of both the words is almost same, but again two different methods we are using. So in case of prevention, we are using the protocols with the help of which we are trying to prevent the deadlock, and in case of avoidance, we are taking the help of algorithms with the help of which we are avoiding the deadlock. So both these methods are applied before occurrence of the deadlock सिच्युएशन ऑकर व्हायच्या अगोदर आपल्याला प्रिव्हेंट करता येतं किंवा अवॉइड करता येतं. आणि जर डेडलॉक ऑकर झाला असेल, सो इन दॅट केस बाय डिफॉल्ट वी नीड टू डिटेक्ट इट. डेडलॉक ऑकर झाला असेल सिस्टीम मध्ये, so we need to first of all detect the deadlock, and after detection we are able to apply the last method, that is recovery from deadlock. जर ऑलरेडी डेडलॉक झालेलाच असेल तर त्या केस मध्ये आपण काय करू शकतो? So we are trying to detect it whether all processes are in deadlock state or very few processes are in deadlock state. So based upon that situation, we are deciding the recovery method. So again, we are discussing in case of deadlock detection some algorithms with the help of which we are able to detect the deadlock, and after that we are recovering it from that state. Again, for recovery purpose also some methods are used. So this is the overall idea about the deadlock. So to understand the concept of deadlock, I will take the best example. Assume that you are good familiar with railway track. Okay, so assume that common railway track is there, and two trains are coming from two sides. Okay, so two separate tracks are there, and these two separate tracks they are able to join at common track, and from that common track, so we need to pass these two trains. So at a time we are unable to allow these both trains to pass through that common track. So either one is able to enter on that track, and if one is on that track, another should not enter on the track, another should wait, and once the first will pass the track, then only the second is able to go on to that common track. So I'm taking the help of common track. Just a minute. So actually some functionality. I'm not getting how to use the board. Anybody knows? Actually, the PPT is also not working on my machine. So we'll take the help of better pen and paper, and I will draw it and I will post on the group so that you will understand. So two tracks are there, and from these two individual tracks, two trains are coming. We'll say T1 and T2, train 1 and train 2, and one common track is there, and they have to utilize the common track. So this is the diagram. And again, after that, maybe their own ways are there. T1 and T2. So T1 stands for train 1 and T2 stands for train 2. Okay, so I will draw the diagram. I will post it on your group so that you will understand the real life example where the deadlock may occurs. Okay, so I will share on both the groups. Just look at to this diagram. Okay, so I posted it on your group. So all of you listen carefully to understand the concept of deadlock. So is it visible? Yes, students, are you listening to me? Hello. Hello students, almost 67 students are there in the meeting. Are you listening to me? Okay, so
Yes, ma'am.
yes, madam. Okay, so other students, so if you are attending the lectures, at least say yes, no. So I posted the diagram. In that diagram, I have shown two trains coming from two separate railway tracks, and at one position they have to take the help of a common track. So if we allow both the trains to pass through that common track, so again accident may happen. So how to avoid it? So either T1 will be able to use the common track and then T2 is able to use, or T2 may use first and then T1 may use. So at a time only one train, so these two trains are treated as a two processes. So either T1 should be in its critical section or T2 should be in its critical section. If both are trying to enter in the critical section, so there may be the problem, right? So this is nothing but it may happens that either both may be able to enter in the critical section violating the mutual exclusion condition, or both may be waiting for each and other and keeping the resource totally free, idle. Okay, बऱ्याच वेळेला असं होते की T1 ला वाटते की T2 क्रॉस करेल किंवा T2 ला वाटेल की T1 क्रॉस करेल. So if they are just assuming for each other, so he will pass or he will pass. So sometimes they may keep the track totally idle without using it. Both are in the waiting state. So sometimes that waiting state may be infinite waiting state. Again, resource utilization will be 0. So this is nothing but the deadlock, and that's why to avoid the deadlock, so some rules are set, some times are set with respect to the trains, and accordingly the problem is solved, right? So this is about the deadlock. One more diagram I will show so that you will understand the concept very clearly. So simple diagram to understand the concept of deadlock. Again, which I discussed in our previous chapter also. So assume that system consists of two processes and two resources. So processes are P1 and P2 and resources are R1 and R2. So mostly processes are shown with the help of circle, and resources are shown either with the help of rectangle or with the help of square. So if one resource will be there, so square is sufficient. If more than one resources are there, so in that case we need to take the help of rectangle. So again we'll see details in our further section. So we are discussing about the resource allocation graph also. So assume that system consists of two processes P1, P2 and two resources R1, R2. R1 is allocated to P1 and R2 is allocated to P2. And P1 is requesting for R2 and P2 is requesting for R1. Okay. So I will post this diagram on again on the group so that you will understand the concept. Very simple diagram. So you should draw to understand the concept of deadlock. Okay, so I posted it on your group. Okay, so look at the diagram very carefully. Very simple diagram is there. So is it visible? Yes, students. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Visible.
Yeah, so if you are looking to that diagram, it is the best diagram to clear the concept of deadlock. So this is the frequently asked question for technical interviews. So what is deadlock? So you should immediately take the help of this diagram to clear the concept of deadlock. So deadlock is the situation in which waiting processes are waiting for other waiting processes. So here in this diagram, I have shown two processes P1 and P2. So P1 is waiting for R2, which is assigned to P2, and P2 is waiting for R1, which is assigned to P1, right? So P2 is also waiting and P1 is also waiting. So to complete P1, it requires R1 as well as R2, and to complete P2, they require R1 as well as R2. So nobody is going for completion, both are waiting for each other, and this is called as a deadlock situation. This is called as a deadlock situation. So deadlock, it is the situation in which waiting process is waiting for other waiting process. आता या सिच्युएशन मध्ये P1 ही कोणासाठी वेट करते P2 साठी, बिकॉज P2 हॅज अक्वायर्ड R2. P1 ला असं वाटतं की P2 न R2 रिलीज केल्यानंतर माझी प्रोसेस कंप्लीट होईल. बट P2 is also waiting for P1. P2 is also waiting for P1. So P1 is waiting for P2 and P2 is waiting for P1. So P2 is waiting for P1 because P2 requires R1, but R1 is with P1, right? So actually in this diagram, we have shown processes with the help of circle and resources with the help of square, and further two types of arrows I have shown over here. So one arrow is towards process, going towards process, and another arrow is going towards resource. त्या arrowची जी डायरेक्शन दाखवली आपण, दोन arrow आहेत जे प्रोसेस कडे चाललेले आहेत, towards process, and two arrows are there, they are going towards resource. So the arrow going towards process are called as a assignment edges, and the arrows which are drawn towards resources are called as a request edges. Actually, this diagram is called as a resource allocation graph. So this diagram is called as a resource allocation graph. So resource allocation graph consists of processes shown with the help of circle, resources shown with the help of square or a rectangle, and edges of these graphs are shown with the help of two types of edges. One edge is called as a assignment edge and another is called as a request edge. So here R1 is assigned to P1, R2 is assigned to P2. So these two edges are called as the assignment edges, and P1 is requesting to R2 and P2 is requesting to R1. So these are called as a request edges, right? So this is the simple diagram. This is the best diagram, popular diagram used everywhere to describe the condition of deadlock. So anybody is having doubt? Simple diagram to understand the concept of deadlock. So here P1 want to complete its execution, but P1 is not getting R2 because R2 is with P2, and P2 is also trying to complete the operation, but P2 is also unable to complete the operation because P2 is waiting for R1 and R1 is with P1. So like that, both are waiting for each other. Nobody is going for completion. They are just waiting for each other, and this waiting state may be infinite waiting. So they are waiting for infinite amount of time, and thus they are just in the waiting state for long amount of time. They are not going for completion. So as they are not going for completion, so performance of the system will be get decreased, and that's why this is treated as a major problem with respect to the operating system. So that's why operating system tries to detect, tries to recover it, and before detection and recovery, it also tries to prevent and avoid. Okay, so this is the simple diagram, simple concept to understand the deadlock. So we'll see now. So we'll go ahead. So first point is our system model. So first of all, we'll discuss about the first point, system model. So deadlock problem, a set of blocked processes, each holding a resource and waiting to acquire a resource held by another process in the set. Set of blocked processes. So meaning of blocked is waiting. So set of waiting processes, each holding a resource. त्या सिस्टीम मध्ये सेट ऑफ प्रोसेसेस आहेत, त्यांची स्टेट वेटिंग स्टेट आहे, आणि ते काय करतात, त्या वेटिंग मध्ये आहेत विथ ईच होल्डिंग अ रिसोर्स. म्हणजे प्रत्येक प्रोसेसनं काय केलेलं आहे, काही रिसोर्सेस धरून ठेवलेले आहेत आणि काही अदर रिसोर्सेस साठी ते वेट करतायत. And waiting to acquire a resource held by another process in the set. In the sense, in our diagram, P1 is holding R1 and waiting for R2, which is assigned to P2. P2 is holding R2 and requesting for R1, which is held by P1. So like that, it is deadlock problem is a set of blocked processes, each holding a resource and waiting to acquire a resource held by another process in the set. So this is called as a deadlock problem. Example 1, system has two tape drives. So actually the concept of tape drives was there in earlier days. So nowadays we are taking the help of pen drive. So in earlier days they were using the tape drives. So as a input output devices, now we are using pen drive. So assume that two tape drives are there in the system. So these two tape drives are treated as a two resources. P1 and P2 each hold one tape drive and each needs the other one. So to complete the operation of P1 requires both the tape drives, and to complete the operation of P2 also, it requires both the tape drives. So what they are doing, they are holding one tape drive and they are requesting for other, which is there with other process. In the diagram, P1, P2 I have shown, R1, R2. So R1, R2 are treated over here, two tape drives. Okay, so like that, each one is holding one and waiting for other. So this is the deadlock problem. Another example they have given, semaphores A and B each initialized to 1. So process P0, process P1, wait A, wait B, wait B, wait A. Actually P0, P1. So these are the two processes, and we discussed the concept of semaphore. Semaphore, it is the variable, and we are using this variable with respect to resources, right? So एखादा रिसोर्स असेल त्याच्यासाठी एक सेमॅफोर व्हेरिएबल वापरतो आपण. तर इथे दोन व्हेरिएबल वापरलेले आहेत, A आणि B, indicating that two resources are there. So P0 is waiting for A and P1 is waiting for B, right? So P1 is waiting for B, so that B may be assigned to another process, say P2, and A is also assigned to say another process, say P3. So P0 is waiting for A, P1 is waiting for B. Again P0, after that P0 is also waiting for B and P1 is also waiting for A. So like that, So two common resources, two semaphores, two processes. So both are initialized to 1. So both are trying to access the same semaphore at a time. Same semaphore, same common resource at a time. So this is another example. In case of semaphore also we discussed deadlock as a problem. Definition: a process is deadlocked if it is waiting for an event that will never occur. So what is going on in our diagram, which I shared on the group? So P1 is waiting for P2 to release R2, but P2 is not going to release R2 because P2 also want R2 as well as R1. So P2 is just waiting. P2 is saying that, so I want R1, I will wait. Once I will get R1, I will complete my task. And what P1 is saying, so P1 says that I'm having R1 and I will wait for R2. Once I will get R2, I will complete my task. So like both are not giving each other's resources, they are not releasing the resources, and they are going in infinite waiting state. A process is deadlocked if it is waiting for an event that will never occur. म्हणजे प्रोसेसेस अशा इव्हेंटसाठी वेट करतायत की त्या इव्हेंट कधी होणारच नाहीत फ्युचरमध्ये. इट मीन्स दे आर unnecessarily waiting, they are going in the infinite waiting state. So it is called as a deadlock. Typically more than one process will be involved in a deadlock. So obviously if there are more than one processes, then only deadlock may occur. Otherwise if only one process will be there in the system, there will be no concept of deadlock. Excuse me. Hello. Ha madam. Total number of students होते 152, eligible होते 101. हा हा नाही नाही 101 धरा, कारण ते बरेचसे वायडी वगैरे होऊन आलेले स्टुडंट्स असतात ना. इलिजिबल 101 आणि त्यातले 93 प्लेस झालेले आहेत आणि 4 हायर स्टडीजला गेलेत आणि 2 एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप म्हणजे त्यांची ओन कंपनी स्टार्ट केली. असं डेटा कन्सिडर करून कॅल्क्युलेट करते. Okay, so process is deadlocked if it is waiting for an event that will never occur. So a process is indefinitely postponed if it is delayed repeatedly over a long period of time while the attention of the system is given to other processes. So sometimes it may happen in case of operating system. So operating system is indefinitely postponing some of the processes. Indefinitely postponing some of the processes. Maybe assume that in the system 2 processes are there, P1, P2. So maybe P1 is going on and OS has decided to execute P2 after P1, but unfortunately one more higher priority process entered in the system, say P3, and P3 is having higher priority than P2. So what operating system will do according to scheduling? Operating system will immediately after P1 will switch to P3 because P3 is having higher priority than P2. So it will execute P3. So or maybe while it is executing P3, if another one process entered in the system, say P4, who is having again higher priority than P2. So again what system will do? So system will switch from P3 to P4, again ignoring or postponing P2. So it may happens for long amount of time, P2 may not be able to do the execution due to lower priority. So in such cases, what happens? So P2 may be infinitely waiting for the processor and operating system is allocating processor to the higher priority processes. So in that case, that P2 may terminate or may get hanged. So process is indefinitely postponed if it is delayed repeatedly over a long period of time while the attention of the system is given to other processes. That is, the process is ready to proceed but never gets the CPU. Means in the sense that process is in the ready state, it has already changed state from new to ready, but from ready it is unable to convert the state into a running. So it is just waiting number of time in a ready state itself, so not getting the processor. So sometimes it may goes for termination without execution, or it may get hanged. So this is called as a deadlock. Okay, so again here the same example of bridge. Actually the concept of bridge is given over here, so we taken the example of trains. So here this is the common bridge and these are the vehicles. So maybe one vehicle coming from this side, another vehicle coming from this side, or one is coming from this side, another is coming from this side. So we can't allow both the vehicles to cross the bridge. So at the time one vehicle is able to cross the bridge. So assume traffic one direction. Each section of the bridge is viewed as a resource. If deadlock occurs, it can be resolved only if one car backs up, preempt resources and roll back. Several cars may have to be backed up if a deadlock occurs. So starvation is possible. जर आपण एकाच बाजूच्या कारनं जर ब्रिज यूज करायला दिला तर असं होईल की दुसऱ्या बाजूला ट्रॅफिक होऊ शकते. So that traffic again it is the deadlock state. So number of time for more infinite amount of time they are waiting. So that's why mostly in our real life, so in such cases, so equal priority is given to all the processes, both side processes. So one from one side, one from another side, one from one side and one from another side. So like that they are allowing, or we are taking the help of traffic signals for further smooth processing, right? So this is the example of bridge crossing. So in case of bridge crossing it may happen sometimes, so only one side vehicles are crossing the bridge, other side vehicles they are just waiting for long amount of time. So this is again deadlock. So already we discussed the concept of starvation. So starvation is nothing but due to lower priority, so we need to wait for long amount of time, though our execution time is very less. So we discussed the concept of starvation in case of multi-programming operating system. So the concept of resource commodity required by a process to execute. So we already know the concept of resources. एखाद्या प्रोसेसला ज्या काही गोष्टी लागतात एक्झिक्यूट करण्यासाठी, complete execution होण्यासाठी ज्या काही गोष्टी लागतात, so all these are treated as a resources. So resources can be several types: serially reusable resources, consumable resources. So serially reusable resources, they are given the example: CPU cycles, memory space, IO devices, files, acquire, use, release. Actually these are the three steps. So if we want to use the resource, so first of all we need to acquire that resource, then we have to use that resource, and once our use is over, so we need to release that resource. So this is required in case of serially reusable resources. जे resources आपण serially use करू शकतो, at a time use करू शकत नाही, पण serially in the sense P1 ते resource पहिल्यांदा वापरेल आणि P1 च्या नंतर P2 वापरेल, P2 च्या नंतर P3 वापरेल. So like that serially reusable. It's not only usable, it's reusable. Same resource एकापेक्षा जास्त processes use करतात, पण parallelly नाही, एकानंतर एक. This is called as a serially reusable resource. Consumable resources produced by a process, needed by a process. Example: messages, buffers of information, interrupts. So create, acquire, use. So resource cases to exist after it has been used. Actually mostly we are not taking the help of these consumable resources, so we are using the we are taking the help of serially reusable resources. Either the resource will be shareable one or non-shareable. So better I will explain the concept of shareable and non-shareable. For example, if you take the example of printer, so it's non-shareable resource. Printer एकाच वेळेस एकापेक्षा जास्त प्रोसेसेस शेअर करू शकत नाहीत. So that's why it's called as a non-shareable. And if you take the help of फाईलचं एक्झाम्पल जर घेतलात तर ती सेम फाईल आपण एकापेक्षा जास्त रीडर रीड करू शकतात ती फाईल, पण त्या फाईल मध्ये मॉडिफिकेशन जर करायचं असेल, म्हणजे रायटर जर अप्लाय करायचं असेल त्या फाईलवर, सो इन दॅट केस दॅट फाईल इज ट्रीटेड एज अ non-shareable. In case of reading, we can say that it is shareable. So I'm talking about shareable and non-shareable. जर number of readers file read करायचे असेल त्यांना, so in that case that file is treated as a shareable. And if readers as well as writers are there, so in that situation फाईल इज ट्रीटेड एज अ नॉन शेअरेबल. म्हणजे काही सिच्युएशन मध्ये आपण फाईल शेअर करू शकतो आणि काही सिच्युएशन मध्ये आपण फाईल शेअर करू शकत नाही. जसं की मी तुम्हाला एक्झाम्पल बऱ्याच वेळेला एक्झाम्पल देते. माझी फाईल ओपन आहे आणि ही फाईल जर मला कॉपी करायची असेल एखाद्या पेन ड्राईव्ह मध्ये किंवा एखाद्या ड्राईव्हला, तर मी कॉपी करू शकत नाही बिकॉज इट इज ओपन. सो समबडी इज परफॉर्मिंग द ऑपरेशन. सो copying the data indicates it is the right operation, right? And if I am reading this file, if the file is open in front of me, and if I am trying to copy the same file on somewhere, so it is treated as a one read and write operation. So already read operation is going on and another write operation want to perform the writing on the same file, which is not applicable or not allowed. So in this case, file is treated as a non-shareable resource. Okay, so like that, there are shareable as well as non-shareable resources. So now come to the concept of system model. So system, in case of deadlock, so we need to consider the system model, in which we need to consider the resources. So resources are mostly shown with the help of the symbol R. So R stands for resource. So whatever number of resources are there in the system, so we need to consider the resources R1, R2, R3, like that, Rm. Each resource type Ri has Wi instances. Okay. So for example, in my system, there may be one printer or there may be 5 printers. So if 5 printers are there, so I may say that resource type is printer and instances are 5. I hope you are understanding. Resource type is printer. प्रिंटरला मी रिसोर्स म्हणतीये, पण माझ्याकडे किती प्रिंटर आहेत? 5. So 5 indicates instances of the printers. So 5 units are there with me. This is called as an instance. Or I may say that with me one notebook is there and 5 pens are there. So I may say that 5 pen. So pen is the resource type and how many units are there? 5. And how many notebooks are there? Notebook is the resource type, but only one notebook is there. So one notebook, it is the instance of the like object and instances of the object. So each resource type Ri has Wi instances. Assume serially reusable resources. So if we want to use serially reusable resources like printer, first of all, we need to request the printer. So what by requesting the printer? Checking the availability of the printer, whether printer is free or busy. If it is free, I'm able to, OS is able to grant my request. Operating system is able to grant my request if it is free. So that resource may be allocated to me. So once the resource is allocated to me, I'm able to use it. And once my use is over, I need to release it. So releasing is nothing but keeping the status of that resource as a free or making the status of that resource as a free. So these are the 3 important steps which are required to apply in case of serially reusable resource or in case of non-shareable resource. So this is about system model. Okay, so whatever we discussed on this slide, that is deadlock problem. So we discussed the definition, then we discussed how to define the deadlock state, then we discussed the example, then we discussed the concept of resource, and at last we discussed the system model. So system model consists of number of processes, number of resources. So number of resources allocated to particular processes and per number of processes requesting for particular resources. So this all comes under system model. Any doubt? These are the basic concepts which are required to clear before going ahead. Actually, most of all the times, very frequently asked questions on system model. So how the process is represented in system model, how the resource is represented. So mostly processes are represented with the help of character P. P1, P2, P3, how the resources are represented with the capital letter R, R1, R2, R3. So what are the instances of the resources, what is by resource type, etc., etc. What is by resource, what is by shareable resource, what is by non-shareable resource, what is by serially reusable resource. So these are the common questions, how the resource is used. So if any process want to use the resource, so that process have to follow 3 operations. So first of all, that process have to request that resource, then that process have to use that resource if the resource is free, and after use that process have to release that resource. So these are the simple basic concepts with respect to the system model. Any doubt, students? Hello, are you listening to me? Yes, students. Okay, so just note it down. Just a minute, note it down. Note it down, the deadlock problem. Write the examples. Draw the diagram which I shared with you. So under example, you may take the example of train also. And to define the deadlock problem, so you may take the help of the second diagram which I shared, where we have shown P1, P2 and R1, R2. So draw that diagram in your notebook. Note down the definition. Okay. So after that, write down the example of train or bridge crossing. So either example is sufficient. If you want to write both, you can write both. Concept of resource. So under resource, you may write shareable and non-shareable resource. Or directly write system model. Actually, this is the first point from our syllabus. System model consists of resources, processes. More about resources given over here. The resources, they are having the instances. Hope everybody is noting it down. Anybody is having doubt about the first point, system model? We'll proceed further to the next point. That is second point from the syllabus, deadlock characterization. Deadlock characterization. So you can note down according to syllabus. So second point is deadlock characterization. So write down deadlock characterization, and under deadlock characterization, so we are discussing about so conditions for deadlock. Okay, so under characterization, so there are 4 necessary conditions for deadlock to occur, and these conditions are nothing but mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption, and circular wait. Okay, so under that, so first of all, we will discuss about these conditions. So the following 4 conditions are necessary and sufficient for deadlock must hold simultaneously. Okay, so if either condition will be there in the system, so there will be the deadlock, or if all the conditions are there in the system, so there will be deadlock. म्हणजे डेडलॉक ऑकर होण्यासाठी ह्या 4 गोष्टी गरजेच्या आहेत. Okay, so we'll discuss one by one. So how these conditions are treated as a conditions, necessary conditions for deadlock. So these conditions are also treated as a necessary conditions for deadlock. So mutual exclusion, only one process at a time can use the resource. So listen carefully to understand how mutual exclusion acts as a condition for deadlock to occur. ह्या कंडिशन मुळे ऍक्च्युली आपण आता 4थ्या चॅप्टर मध्ये डिस्कस केलं म्युच्युअल एक्सक्लुजन म्हणजे काय. जर कॉमन रिसोर्सेस असतील आणि नंबर ऑफ प्रोसेसेस ना ते कॉमन रिसोर्स जर यूज करायचं असेल, सो वी नीड टू अप्लाय द म्युच्युअल एक्सक्लुजन. सो दॅट इज राईट. बट if we apply mutual exclusion everywhere, so we may face the problem of deadlock. So we'll take the simple example again. Say file is there, so our file, you may take your doc file or .c file or ppt file, pptx file, etc, etc. If one file is there, so that file is read by more than one readers at a time. More than one readers at a time. So here, if there are n readers, r1 r2, like rn readers are there and one file is there, so we can share this file. जर ह्या केस मध्ये फाईल एक आहे आणि नंबर ऑफ रीडर्स आहेत म्हणून आपण जर म्युच्युअल एक्सक्लुजन अप्लाय केलं तर काय होईल, जेव्हा पहिला रीडर ती फाईल रीड करतोय, बाकीच्या रीडर्सना अननेसेसरीली वेट करायला लागेल. What is mutual exclusion? When one process is in its critical section, others should not enter in their critical section. ही कंडिशन जर आपण ह्या सिच्युएशन मध्ये अप्लाय केली, म्हणजे नंबर ऑफ रीडर्स आहेत आणि एक फाईल आहे, सगळ्या रीडर्सना ती एकच फाईल रीड करायची आहे. तर ह्या सिच्युएशन मध्ये जर आपण म्युच्युअल एक्सक्लुजन अप्लाय केलं, किती रीडर्स आहेत? n रीडर्स आहेत. अज्युम दॅट द n व्हॅल्यू ऑफ n इज इक्वल टू 1000. जर 1000 स्टुडंट असतील आणि एकच फाईल असेल आणि ते सगळे 1000 स्टुडंटना रीड करायचे असेल फाईल, तर असं आपण म्हणू शकतो का, नाही पहिला स्टुडंट रीड करतोय फाईल, बाकीचे स्टुडंट्स रीड करू नका. जर आपण म्युच्युअल एक्सक्लुजन अप्लाय केलं तर काय होईल, फर्स्ट स्टुडंट मे बी रीडिंग इट अँड रिमेनिंग n-1, दॅट इज ऑलमोस्ट 999 students, they may be in the waiting state. They may be in the waiting state. And if you assume the last reader, last 100 readers, so they have to wait unnecessarily for long amount of time. On whom the time depends? It depends upon the first reader, second reader, third reader, fifth reader, 10th reader, like that onwards. एखादा रीडर फास्ट रीड करू शकतो, एखादा रीडर खूप स्लो रीड करेल, एखादा थर्ड रीडर असेल खूपच रेंगाळत रीड करेल. जर आपण अशी सिच्युएशन जर अशी कंडिशन जर सेट केली तर काय होईल, unnecessarily the remaining readers they have to wait, and that waiting time may be infinite waiting, so they may go in the deadlock state. So that's why it is said that mutual exclusion is acting as one of the condition to occur deadlock. Hope you understood the condition. Any doubt? येतंय लक्षात? एका बाजूला आपण म्हणतोय की म्युच्युअल एक्सक्लुजन अप्लाय करायला पाहिजे आणि दुसऱ्या बाजूला म्हणतोय की म्युच्युअल एक्सक्लुजन अप्लाय केलं तर डेडलॉक होते. So how the mutual exclusion should apply? So mutual exclusion should not be applied on shareable resources. आता इथं जर n रीडर्स आणि एक फाईल असेल तर ती फाईल शेअरेबल फाईल म्हणून ऍक्ट होते. Otherwise, if there are reader writers, in that case compulsorily we need to apply the mutual exclusion. एक रीडर आणि n रायटर्स असतील तर त्या केस मध्ये आपल्याला बाय डिफॉल्ट म्युच्युअल एक्सक्लुजन अप्लाय करावं लागतं. जर अप्लाय नाही केलं तर तिथं काय होईल, सो युअर डेटा ऑफ द फाईल मे बी इनकन्सिस्टंट. It will not be consistent. It may be changed by any of the process if we allow all to enter their critical section at a time, right? So that's why it is said that mutual exclusion should be applied on mutual exclusion should not be applied on shareable resources, but it should be applied to the non-shareable resources. Non-shareable जे रिसोर्स आपण एका वेळेस शेअर करू शकत नाही अशा रिसोर्स वरच म्युच्युअल एक्सक्लुजन ही कंडिशन अप्लाय करायला पाहिजे. जर अशा शेअरेबल रिसोर्स वर जर आपण म्युच्युअल एक्सक्लुजन अप्लाय केलं, there will be the problem of deadlock. Got it? Yes, students? Come on, are you listening to me? Hello? Hello, students? Okay. So second condition is hold and wait. So just now we discussed the diagram. This जी second diagram मी तुम्हाला पोस्ट केली ग्रुप वर, P1, P2 आणि R1, R2. So here what P1 is doing, so P1 is holding R1 and waiting for R2, and P2 is holding R2 and waiting for R1. So this is called as a hold and wait. So if the processes hold some resources already allocated to them and while waiting for other resources, so due to this situation also, so deadlock occurs. So this is the second necessary condition for deadlock. Third condition, no preemption. So resources are released by processes holding them only after that process has completed its task. So again same diagram will take to understand the third condition, no preemption. So in this diagram we have shown that two processes P1, P2 and R1, R2. So P1 is holding R1 and P2 is holding R2. So operating system is able to say to P1, you can release R1 for a while so that P2 will complete. So listen carefully. इथं काय करणार आहे, ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टीम कोणाला सांगणार आहे, P1 ला सांगणार आहे तुझी प्रायोरिटी कमी आहे P2 पेक्षा, त्यामुळे मला P2 ला एक्झिक्यूट करायचंय. तर तू काय कर, तू जे R1 होल्ड करून ठेवलेलं आहे त्याला पहिल्यांदा रिलीज कर. सो इफ ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टीम tells P1 to release R1, then only P1 is able to release R1 so that P2 is able to complete. Or assuming that P1 is having higher priority and P2 is having lower priority, so operating system tells to P2 release R2 because I want to give higher priority to P1, I want to execute P1 first. So then only P2 is able to release resource R2 and P1 is able to complete, and then both the resources will be allocated to P2. So no preemption. So one process can't preempt, one resource can't preempt another resource, but one process can preempt another process through operating system with respect to their priority. जर P1 ची प्रायोरिटी हायर असेल P2 पेक्षा, तर P1 OS ला सांगू शकते, so I am having higher priority than P2, so ask P2 to release the resource so that I will complete. So this is called the no preemption. So resources are unable to preempt, one resource is unable to preempt another resource, but processes, they are able to preempt another process with the help of which resources will be get preempted. Resources will be get released. So resources are released by processes holding them only after that process has completed its task. जेव्हा ती प्रोसेस कंप्लीट करेल टास्क, तेव्हा ती प्रोसेस काय करेल, त्याच्याकडे त्याला जेवढे रिसोर्सेस अलोकेट केलेले आहेत ते रिलीज करेल. This is about third condition. So in case of third condition also, if processes they are not releasing, so in that case, if they are not releasing, in that case, so there may be the deadlock. Right? The processes release karat nastil resources, so in that case there may be the deadlock. And the last one, circular wait. Circular wait, that is P1 is waiting for P2. म्हणजे P1 एखाद्या रिसोर्स साठी वेट करतोय आणि तो रिसोर्स कोणाकडे आहे, P2 कडे आहे. P2 is waiting for the resource which is held by P3. P2 कोणासाठी वेट करतोय, अशा एखाद्या रिसोर्स साठी जो रिसोर्स P3 कडे आहे. P3 is waiting for another resource which is with P4, like that onwards. So P1 is waiting for P2, P2 is waiting for P3, P3 is waiting for P4, P4 is waiting for P5, like that. If we assume 5 processes, n is equal to 5, so P5 is also waiting for P1. So this is called a circular wait. पहिला दुसऱ्यासाठी वेट करतोय, दुसरा तिसऱ्यासाठी वेट करतोय, तिसरा चौथ्यासाठी वेट करतोय, चौथा पाचव्यासाठी वेट करतोय आणि पाचवा पहिल्यासाठी वेट करतोय. म्हणजे so everybody is waiting for each other and nobody is going for completion. So this is called as circular wait. This is called as a circular wait. A circular chain of processes exists in which each process waits for one or more resources held by the next process in the chain. This is called as a circular wait. I said that P1 requesting for the resource which is held by P2. P2 is requesting the resource held by P3. P3 is requesting the resource held by P4. P4 is requesting the resource held by P5, and P5 in turn requesting the resource which is held by P1. So I assumed 5 processes P1, P2, P3, P4. So this is called as a circular wait. So if circular wait occurs, so again nobody is going for completion. P1 कोणासाठी वेट करतोय, P2, आणि P2 काय म्हणतोय, मला P3 चा रिसोर्स पाहिजे. P3 काय म्हणतोय, मला P4 चा रिसोर्स पाहिजे. जोपर्यंत त्यांना लागणारे रिसोर्सेस त्यांना मिळत नाहीत तोपर्यंत that process is unable to go for completion. So everybody is waiting for each other. So this is called as a circular wait. So if either situation occurs in the system, there will be the deadlock, or 1, 2 of them or 3 of them or 4 will be there in the system, there will be compulsorily there will be the deadlock. There definitely we can say that there is the deadlock. So these are the 4 necessary conditions for deadlock. So this is called as a characterization of deadlock. This is called as a characterization. So how the deadlock is characterized with respect to these 4 necessary conditions. So if we apply mutual exclusion on shareable resources, there will be the deadlock. If we apply hold and await condition in case of system, so again there will be the deadlock. If the resource is trying to preempt another resource, there will be the deadlock. And if processes are waiting for each other in circular queue, so there will be the deadlock. So these are 4 necessary conditions. Again, frequently or popular question asked at the time of interview. So what are the necessary conditions for deadlock? So you should know these 4 necessary conditions. So keep in mind, in case of critical section problem, we discussed 3 requirements: mutual exclusion, progress, and bounded waiting. And here we are discussing about 4 conditions for necessary conditions for deadlock: mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption, and circular wait. Actually, mutual exclusion is common in that requirement also and here also. Okay, so note down these 4 necessary conditions for deadlock. So we are discussing about characterization, deadlock characterization. So under characterization, the sub points are necessary conditions for deadlock. Then we are discussing about resource allocation graph. Okay, just a minute. So we'll discuss this resource allocation graph afterwards. So 2 points we are discussing. First one, necessary conditions for deadlock, and second point, resource allocation graph. So again, the second point is somewhat big. So we'll discuss in detail maybe in the next lecture. So today this much is sufficient. So today I'm going to conduct the lecture only up to 2. I'm having one meeting. Okay, so note down these 4 conditions. If you are having doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll stop here. So I request all of you just write your roll numbers in the chat box. I will copy that message as a part of attendance. All of you just type the message in the chat box. Write your roll number, maybe A1, B1, B12, A12, like that onwards. And write this point: conditions for deadlock. 4 conditions, so you can just note it down. And once it is over, you can leave. So before I leave the meeting, I will copy the chat box. If anybody is having doubt, they can raise the doubt. If you are not having doubts, if you have completed the write-up, you may leave the meeting. We are going to stop.